Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Loud. Jaya Radha Madhav. Too fast. Jaya Kunja Bihari. Too fast. Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Kiri Varadari Jaya Kiri Varadari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Kiri Varadari Jaya Kiri Varadari. Yashoda Nandana Rajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Rajajana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Rajajana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Rajajana Ranjana. Yamunatira Manachari Yamunatira Manachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Kiri Varadari Jaya Kiri Varadari. Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Kiri Varadhari Jaya Kiri Varadhari Yashoda Nandana Rajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Rajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Prajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Manachari Yamunatira Manachari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Privajakacarya Asto Dharma Shri Srimad Nityalila Bhavistam His Divine Grace Lavai Charanarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Founder Acharya Abhida Pavana Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Mataraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Gaur Premanandi All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritcha Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasvatim Vyasam Tatojay Amudirayat Nastapareshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Srimad Bhāgavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 29. Kapila Dev's explanation of devotional service. Text 3. Virago Yena Purusho Bhagavan Sarvato Bhavet Chaksva Jiva Lokasya Vividha Mama Samsriti Virago Yena Purusho Bhagavan Sarvato Bhavet Achaksva Jiva Lokasya Vivida Mama Samsriti Virago Yena Purusho Bhagavan Sarvato Bhavet Achaksva Jiva Lokasya Vividha Mama Samsriti Virago Yena Purusho Bhagavan Sarvato Bhavet Chaksva Jiva Lokasya Vivida Mama Samsriti Ladies. Viraga, detached. Yena, by which. Purusha, a person. Bhagavan, my dear Lord. Sarvata, completely. Bhavet, may become. Achaksva, please describe. Jiva Lokasya, for the people in general. Vividha, manifold. Mama, for myself. Samsriti, repetition of birth and death. Translation, Devahudi continued. My dear Lord, please also describe in detail, both for me and for people in general, the continual process of birth and death. For by hearing of such calamities, we may become detached from the activities of this material world. Purport by His Divine Grace, ISKCON's founder Acharya, Jagat Guru Patita Pavana Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. In this verse, the word samsriti is very important. Shreyastri means the prosperous path, Shreyastri, the prosperous path of advancement towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And samsriti means the continued journey on the path of birth and death towards the darkest region of material existence. People who have no knowledge of this material world, God, and their actual intimate relationship with Him are actually going to the darkest region of material existence in the name of progress and the material advancement of civilization. To enter the darkest region of material existence means to enter into a species of life other than the human species. Ignorant men do not know that after this life they are completely under the grip of material nature and will be offered a life which may not be very congenial. How a living entity gets different kinds of bodies will be explained in the next chapter. This continual change of bodies in birth and death is called samsara. Devahuti requests her glorious son Kapila Muni to explain about this continued journey to impress upon the conditioned souls that they are undergoing a path of degradation by not understanding the path of bhakti yoga devotional service. Hare Krishna. Just give me this songbook, the big one over there. Om Jnanatimrandasya Jananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmidam Nena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupagadam Ayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Guru and Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatan Vidam Dam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakavitam Scha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jayadam Sridopangor Mama Manamatergati Matsarvasva Padam Bohujo Radha Madana Mohano Dibyad Grindaranya Kalpatru Srimad Ratnagara Singha Sanasto Srimad Radha Shulagovinda Devo Vistalabi Savyamano Smarami Shriman Rasa Rasarambi Bamsi Bhattatatastitaha Karshan Venus Fanar Gopir Gopinatha Striyestuna the Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubyascha Kripa Sandubhyevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskita Desha Tarane Virago Yena Purusho Bhagavan Sartvato Bhavet Achakshva Jiva Lokasya Vivida Mama Samsriti. Devahuti continued, my dear Lord, please also describe in detail, both for me and for people in general, the continual process of birth and death. By hearing of such calamities, we may become detached from the activities of this material world. So this is setting the stage for one of the heaviest sections of the Srimad Bhāgavatam, uh, coming in the next chapter. Description of adverse fruitive activities. In terms of Prabhupada's presenting Srimad Bhāgavatam, this was being written in 1968, published thereafter in 1969. The first discussion or revelation to Srila Prabhupada's disciples and to the world, what does going to the hellish planets actually mean? We see people who claim themselves to be followers of Jesus Christ. I love you, Jesus, but save me from your followers. You're going to hell and you're going to burn there forever, and, et cetera, et cetera. You know, being smitten in the lake of fire and all these things. Uh, they don't understand that uh, the activities that one performs in disharmony, we'll use that word, with the Supreme Personality of Godhead qualifies them for being put in such a situation for correction, Department of Correction. But it is a temporary affair, albeit by our calculation, very, very long. But it is not eternal damnation. At the end of that section, Kapila Dev says, after passing in a natural order, as it's described here in the next chapter, taking different bodies, through the 8,400,000 species of life and being purged of all sins, he is born again as a human being on this planet. And if he again associates with sensually minded persons interested in the palate and the genitals, he again goes to hell as before. So this was just Devahuti's motivation to ask this question, not just for herself, but for people in general, inspired the publishers of the last book presented to Srila Prabhupada in the fall of 1977, shortly before his departure from this mortal world. Preaching is the essence. And the section is, the Lord is pleased by a compassionate devotee. Devahuti continued, my dear Lord, please also describe in detail, both for myself and for the people in general. And this is combining this section, verse 3, verse 5, and 6. My dear Lord, you are just like the sun, for you illuminate the darkness of the conditional life of the living entities, because their eyes of knowledge are not open. And Prabhupada is making this point strongly in the purport. People who have no knowledge of this material world, God, and their actual intimate relationship with Him, are actually going to the darkest region of material existence. And in the verse, two terms are given. Where is it? Shreyasri. We always say, sometimes devotees are given names with the name Shreyas in it. Shrestha. Shrestha Param, for example. Maybe someone else knows someone who has a name with Shreyas in it. You can think. So Shreyasri means the prosperous path of advancement towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Samskriti is the opposite. So we hear that in spiritual life you can't stand still. You can't just reach a plateau and say, I'm here and I'm just going to stay here. There are two aspects of the material energy, the throwing potency and the covering potency. And of the two, the covering potency is very insidious. And the example is given that even Indra, the king of the demigods, was the most opulent position in the heavenly planets, cursed by his, for his, what's the word, prolificacy? No, for flagrancy. Anyway, to become a hog on this planet, living the life of a hog, eating stool, etc. And when the time for the banishment and curse is over, now you come back and be king of heaven. Oh, I cannot go. I have my duties. I have my responsibilities. That even a hog living in a filthy place, eating stool, etc., feels himself very happy. So much so, when informed that you have a by far superior situation, which is your natural position, they are averse to going. So we are about to observe the 150th year anniversary of the appearance in this world of Om Vishnu Pad Sri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who was prayed for by his father, and seeming father, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, was also of the same caliber and standard as a resident of the spiritual world, a member of the divine couple's personal confidential entourage. It is not within my power to restore your teachings. He's speaking to Lord Chaitanya, he's speaking his heart, which are very much depreciated. You must send someone from your personal staff. So when a pure devotee comes to this world, the entire course of history is changed for the better. Paritranaya sadhunam. Sometimes the Lord comes himself, or sometimes he sends his confidential servant, but either way, the message is the same: to uplift the faithful and put down the miscreant, to curtail the activities of the demoniac. So he has encouraged us in so many ways, but coming to mind, Srila Bhaktisanta says, I wish all good-hearted members of the Gaudiya Math, and that includes us, Gaudiya Math, ISKCON, or whatever name you want to put on the particular branch or family tree, part of Lord Chaitanya's movement, we are all members of the one name that was described in the 19th century, the Vishva Vaishnav Sabharaj, right? Raj Sabha, okay, which means the eternally association of Rasik relishers, pure devotees, situated all throughout the universe. So I wish, and Prabhupada's final instruction, our Srila Prabhupada's final instruction from Om Vishnu Pad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, I wish that all good-hearted members of Gaudiya Math be prepared to shed hundreds of gallons of blood for the spiritual corpus of every soul on this planet. Or that I wish that you turn yourself into a very good English preacher, that you present our ideas, our novel ideas, to those who are not conversant with the language of the already established members. This will do good for you and for those who will help you. And we see later when Prabhupada's disciples were sent to him, he said that you are all representatives of my Guru Maharaj. You have been sent to me to do good for me. When hearing of the disappearance of his godbrother, his dear friend Bhakti Pragnakeshava Maharaj in October 1968, Prabhupada was in Seattle, Northwest United States, Washington. And he became very emotional and cried. And he was saying, we think that by surrendering to Krishna, we are the loser. What a mistake. And he said I had so many children in my family life, but now I have hundreds of children as disciples. This is a miscalculation. By giving to Krishna, surrendering, we gain so much. And then on his spiritual master's disappearance day, just 2 months later in that year, December 1968, he came before his spiritual master in the temple room and in a very humble mood said that I have nothing to offer my spiritual master, so I'm offering all of you, my disciples. You are like the sun, for you illuminate the darkness of the conditional life of the living entities, because their eyes of knowledge are not open. And Prabhupada has said, not even what is the purpose of book distribution, but defined what is the purpose of this entire society, the whole society of devotees, no matter what their position in the overall phalanx of the army is, whatever their particular duty, which all put together equals the entire effort. The purpose of this ISKCON movement is to distribute knowledge. Knowledge is in all different ways, from directly studying the Shastra to setting a good example. Um, Prabhupada gives the example of how in India, in olden times or traditionally, that the son marries and the girl leaves her parental home and comes and lives in the house and family of the son. So she's new, perhaps she's a little bit nervous, and she should be treated very gently, not being given too much correction or what to speak of chastisement. So, to help her become acquainted and oriented and feel comfortable, the mother of the son or her mother-in-law, the newly married bride's mother-in-law, will instruct her own daughter in the presence of the new daughter-in-law. So the devotee, he plays the role of being instructed. Just like Arjuna, he was seemingly placed into illusion. Is your illusion now gone? Yes, my illusion is now gone, and I am free from all doubt and prepared to act according to your instructions. So, both for myself and for others, please describe the continual process of repeated birth and death. So in the material world, everything thinks everything is wonderful. I'm young, and I'm beautiful, and the whole world is. You got your whole life ahead of you. You know why are you preaching to young people? This knowledge is for everyone who is about to die. Parikshit Maharaj was a young man. He was cursed to die within 7 days. Prabhupada writes in the first canto, he had everything. Why did he leave everything to sit down on the bank of the Ganges? Questions by the sages. Who is old? One who is about to die is old. Do you know when you're going to die? Everyone is old. Their eyes of knowledge are not opened, and they are sleeping eternally in the darkness without your shelter, and therefore they are falsely engaged by the actions and reactions of their material activities, and they appear to be very much fatigued. Hansarupa Prabhu posted on the resident chat. First thing in the morning when we wake up, we get to see what Prabhupada said on this day, on February 22nd, in Mayapur Festival, 1976. Unless one becomes detestful of this material world, it is to be understood that he has not yet entered in the spiritual understanding. That is the test of bhakti. If one has entered the domain of devotional service, the material world at all will be not at all tasteful for him. So this is Magh Mas Shukla Chaturdasi. We're in between the appearance of Lord Nityananda and the Krishna Madhurya Utsav, the Magh Mas Purnima, which is the glorious appearance day of Srila Narottam Das Thakur. Most important acharya in our sampradaya, and interestingly and notably and applicable for us, also, is that he appeared in this world, or was pleased to take his birth. We see even when the eternal associates of the Lord are ordered or foretold that the Lord will descend and he wants you to come down and take birth in this world, they show reluctance. When Srila Prabhupada he revealed how he was asked by Krishna to come down. I don't want to go to that place. Very dirty place. So Prabhupada insisted on cleanliness. He's brought to the Krishna Balaram Mandir and shown the new Mahaprasadam stall and the new glass case bookshop, very clean and shiny. And then the devotees, the manager saying, just see how first class this is. And Prabhupada said, you say this is first class? I say it is 10th class. And he pointed 30 feet in the air with his cane to the chandelier that had an active pigeon's nest in it with pigeon poop, feathers, and wings fluttering and noises being made. Woo, woo, woo. Clean it at once. And Prabhupada was very strict, especially in India, because if you go to old temples in India, or even semi-active ones that are not, the deity's dress is dirty. There might be there's bats and pigeons. There's dogs and monkeys running around. The poop of these animals is there. So he wanted our temple to be revolutionary clean. Cleanliness is next to godliness. Or even there is a writing by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and it describes Krishna telling Radharani it is time for our descent into this world to perform our pastimes. And she says, I do not want to go there unless, as soon as I open my eyes, you will be the first one that I see. So seemingly, she's born to Kirtida and mother and Vrishabhanu, King Vrishabhanu. She's blind and she can't see her. She hasn't opened her eyes as an infant, and they're very, very concerned. And she's friends, of course, with Mother Yashoda, and she comes with her newly appeared Krishna, and Krishna comes and climbs up and looks into her banister, and at that point she opens her eyes. And there are other stories of the eternal devotees, showing reluctance but having to be encouraged. So, a very good example, we are understanding that one must approach Lord Nityananda to be free from this material life and actually to Shreyastri, go on the path of progress. The path of samsara is a path of degradation. You can't stand still. So unless you're progressing in spiritual life, you will be going down. So everyone who is not a devotee, not a godly person, and in the next verse it says even pious people, pious person, you know, people, especially when they come to the end of their life, I'm seeing it less and less as I spend years on this planet. People become afraid of impending death and want to take to some pious activity so they can tread water, and kind of keep their position and not degrade themselves, or even a more higher noble idea, and we see which is like the only kind of idea, vague idea that people have is we'll go to heaven. One time Prabhupada was asked, Prabhupada was in Portland, Oregon, which is Shamasundar's hometown, nearby Salem, Oregon. And Danavir Goswami, in his Prabhupada Memories, you could look up, tells the story. It's also in Shamasundar's book, Chasing Rhinos with the Swami. That an arrangement seemingly was made with the number one TV station for Portland, but when they went there was some mix-up or some misunderstanding, and the people in that TV station said that, we didn't know about this, or it was something. And All of a sudden, a young man, 20 years old, 20, like a college student, he said, well, I have a small university radio station, which I take care of upstairs, and I would love to interview the Swami. And so that's what they did. You can read about that and hear about this. So he was very respectful to Srila Prabhupada. And one of the questions he asked, what is the difference between Krishna consciousness and Christianity? And Prabhupada said, in essence, there's no difference, but we can give you more information. We can tell you where God lives, what is his address, what are the names of his parents, his girlfriends, his boyfriends, everything. Which at the same time he didn't say, but that's saying that you're not going to get that information in Christianity. Even poor Jesus Christ himself had to say, I have much to tell you, but you don't have the ears to hear, what to speak of the self control to not crucify him. And Prabhupada was in Mexico City in 1972, and he was staying in a room in a friendly devotee, a life member. I don't know if it was life, and there was a so big crucifix on the wall, and Jesus is suffering on the cross, and they have the stigmata and they have the blood coming out. And Prabhupada, after just like a few minutes, he's supposed to rest on the bed, and there's this thing right in front, and he calls Shamasundar in. Prabhupada is like is crying, and he says, "Remove this. They have killed their spiritual master so they can keep sinning. Take it out of here." So Raghunath Das Goswami, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he tells his story uh, at, at length at the end of the fifth chapter. We just touched on it in the Mangalartik reading, Preaching is the Essence. But Raghunath Das Goswami's story is very, very amazing, and it's recounted in great detail in Antya-lila chapter 6, Raghunath Das Goswami's meeting with the Lord. And the glorious chipped rice and yogurt Panihati festival illustrates how one, by achieving the mercy of Lord Nityananda, all of his impediments holding him back, the material energy, how can we develop such attraction to Krishna consciousness that I can overcome my material and not overcome my tendency to be attracted to so-called material enjoyment. Narottam Das Thakur is saying, by getting the mercy of Lord Nityananda, you can rise above this. So, he tried so many ways to break free from his family life, and quickly, he is the only male heir to yes, even by today's standard, he'd be considered a multi-billionaire. His family, and they were like capturing him and bringing him back. Having like, can you imagine having, was it 12 guards guarding you all the time, making sure that you stay in a certain place and you do certain things. So Raghunath Das's running away became almost a daily affair. His mother, our son has become mad. Just keep him by binding him with ropes. His father, being very unhappy, replied to her as follows: Raghunath Das, our son, has opulences like Indra, the king of heaven, and his wife is as beautiful as an angel. They purposely arranged that he marry the most exquisitely beautiful woman, just for that purpose, to try to knock out his attraction to Krishna. My dear friend, if you're at all interested in material life, then I warn you, don't go to see that smiling boy Govinda, who's playing his flute on the bank of the Jamuna, because if you do so, all your material attraction will be smashed forever. Thanks, Mom and Dad. I really thank you very much. Yet all this could not tie down his mind. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has fully bestowed his mercy on him. Who can keep home such a madman of Chaitanya Chandra? So he's still under arrest. So thus Raghunath Das considered something in his mind. If you at all are interested in entering into the dancing party of Radha and Krishna, you must get the mercy of Lord Nityananda. Second or third? First. So this is a good thing to consider in the mind. So this is what he considered in his mind. The next day he went to Nityananda Goshani. In the village of Panihati. Raghunath Das obtained an interview with Lord Nityananda. Where are you rushing? I have an interview. I have to go to an interview. Who was accompanied by many kirtan performers, servants and others. Sitting on a rock under a tree on the bank of the Ganges, Lord Nityananda seemed as effulgent as hundreds of thousands of rising suns. Many devotees sat on the ground surrounding him. Seeing the influence of Nityananda Prabhu, Raghunath Das was astonished. He offered his obeisances by falling prostrate at a distant place. And the servant of Nityananda pointed out, there is Raghunath Das offering you obeisances. Nityananda Prabhu replied, you are a thief. Now you have come to see me. Come here. Today I shall punish you. Because a thief, stays at a distant place. The Lord called him, but Raghunath Das did not go near the Lord. Then the Lord forcibly caught him and placed his lotus feet on his head. Lord Nityananda was by nature very merciful and funny. Being merciful, he spoke to Raghunath Das as follows. You are a thief, for instead of coming near, you stay away at a distant place. Now that I have captured you, I shall punish you. So here's the punishment. Make a festival. It's our punishment for all of our Dina Bandhu. I just listened to his Nityananda Prabhu class in Vrindavan, and he says this, that we were engaged in so many sinful activities before Srila Prabhupada saved us that we broke Yamaraj's hard drive. Chitragupta. Chitra means to see, and Gupta means confidential. So we think that we're doing something and it's not seen, but Chitragupta is seeing and he's noting it down. Who was it that was asked? Oh, the story of one of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's disciples who fell into sinful activities after and left devotional service. And then he was presumed to be dead, but he wasn't. He was in a coma, and he was brought to the cremation spot, the burning ghat. And while this is happening, he has a dream, or actual, this is what happened, is that the Yamadutas come and are taking him for judgment in the court of Yamaraj. And, Chitragupta is reading out this long list, and Yamaraj says to him, have you done anything of merit in your entire life? And then he just immediately calls out the name and describes how he is the disciple, and he says, Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who immediately appears in the court of Yamaraj, and Yamaraj and Chitragupta pay obeisances. And Yamaraj, he's the judge. There will be no humbug in my court, order in the court. But he goes to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, please tell me, Now what is to be done? In other words, you are the Supreme Court judge here. My jurisdiction is is over. And without even addressing Yamaraj, he chastises his disciple, who begs forgiveness and orders him to go back down to the Earth planet and take shelter of one of his very illustrious disciples, who was a powerful spiritual master. He was very powerful as a brahmachari, Hayagriva Das Brahmachari, who later became Madhava Maharaj. Anyway. And at that time, he wakes up on the funeral pyre, shouting the name of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. Everyone there present freaks out because he thinks he was a ghost. And, and he was able to live another 8 years. He immediately left his family and his native village and took shelter of Mata Maharaj and went back home, back to Godhead. So Raghunath Das was very pleased. The whole pastime is narrated. So the next day, he again came before Lord Nityananda. uh, Sat down in the same place, on the same rock, under the same tree. So he makes his prayer. I am the lowest of men, the most sinful, fallen, and condemned. Such an amazing statement from one of the eternal associates of Srimati Radharani, Rati Manjari, Raghunath Das Goswami, saying like this. OBL Kapoor, well, I forget what's his initiated name, he's a younger god brother of Srila Prabhupada, and he asked him, what was your secret to so powerfully spread Krishna consciousness all over the world? What was your formula? And it's like, they had dealings together when Prabhupada was a pharmacist. So like, you don't reveal your formula for your, you know, secret medicine. It's like you only can buy it here from our company. Prabhupada said, I can tell you the formula. It's no problem. The formula is Trinadapi Suniche Natarori Vasaheshuna. It's a free formula, open secret, but can you follow? Can you actually apply the formula? Nevertheless, I desire to attain shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Like a dwarf who wants to catch the moon, I have tried my best many times, but I have never been successful. Every time I tried to go away and give up my home relationships, so we could say, every time I tried to give up my material desires, my father and mother unfortunately kept me bound, but the same desires come back. No one can attain the shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu without your mercy. So in the seventh canto, it's described that with the help of Baladev, Balaram, we can pick up the sword of knowledge that's given to us by Krishna and cut the bonds of our material attachment. So we have to get that strength to hold the weapon of knowledge from Baladev. No one can attain the Lord's shelter without your mercy, but if you are merciful, even the lowest of men can attain shelter at his lotus feet. Although I am unfit and greatly afraid to submit this plea, so if we can get a little glimpse of how glorious, how exalted are the eternal pastimes of the Lord, and we compare ourselves in our present position to what we want to achieve, then we can empathize and also properly adopt this prayer as our own, at least to whatever little degree, in all honesty. So, nevertheless, I request you, sir, to be especially merciful toward me, but you will not find a more fallen soul than me. Therefore, my claim is first. Not that you sit back and do nothing, saying that my claim is first. You work very, very hard and sincerely. Then you can say, my claim is first. But everyone else's claim is first too, simultaneously. Oh, Srila Prabhupada, I'm the most fallen. You're not the most anything. By giving me the shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, placing your feet on my head, give me the benediction that I may achieve the shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu without difficulty. I pray for this benediction. After hearing this appeal by Raghunath Das, Nityananda Prabhu smiled and told all the devotees, just like his father told his mother, Raghunath Das's standard of material happiness is equal to that of Indra, the king of heaven. Because of the mercy bestowed upon him by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So they work together, Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, in bestowing mercy. And just like Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he pleased Lord Chaitanya by defending the position of Lord Nityananda. He pleased Lord Chaitanya so much that he was the chosen one to write the most important biography of Lord Chaitanya. That us, even today, and for hundreds and thousands of years into the future, can get Lord Chaitanya's darshan. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati would read Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita in his leisure time later in his life. It was his favorite book. There will come a time when people will learn Bengali to read the Chaitanya Charitamrita, yet Srila Prabhupada has had the book translated into all the world's major languages and even secondary languages so everyone can get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Because of that mercy, Raghunath Das, although situated in such material happiness, does not like it at all. Therefore, let every one of you be merciful toward him and give him the benediction that he may very soon attain shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One who experiences the fragrance of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna does not value even the standard of happiness available in Brahmaloka, the topmost planet, and what to speak of the heavenly planets. And Maharaj Bhatt, his story, as described in the 14th chapter of the 5th canto, he gave up everything in the prime of youth, attractive wife, affectionate children, most beloved friends, and opulent kingdom, exactly as one gives up stool after excreting it. Then Lord Nityananda Prabhu called Raghunath Das near him, placed his feet on Raghunath Das's head, and began to speak. My dear Raghunath Das, he said, since you arranged, or because you arranged, the feast on the bank of the Ganges, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came here just to show you his mercy. So in the narration of Panihati, many miraculous things happened. Lord Chaitanya, who wasn't physically there, came there spiritually. By his causeless mercy, he ate the chipped rice and milk. Then, after seeing the dancing of the devotees at night, he took his supper. And within that pastime, in the house of Raghava Pandit and the ecstatic kirtan performed, Lord Chaitanya came to see. Where does he come? There's four places that Lord Chaitanya will come. Where one is wherever Lord Nityananda is dancing. There is nothing as beautiful in the whole spirit, in the whole cosmic manifestation in the dancing of Lord Nityananda. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Gaur Hari came here personally to deliver you. Now rest assured that all impediments meant for your bondage are gone. Sri Chaitanya, and now the prediction of the heights that Raghunath Das Goswami will achieve, just as Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami was explaining the highest heights that he achieved in Vrindavan by Lord Nityananda's order to go to Vrindavan, for there everything is possible. And assured him, Masucha, don't be afraid. Don't worry. He will accept you and place you under the charge of his secretary, Srup Damodar, directly under the lotus feet of Lalita Devi. You will thus become one of the most confidential internal servants and will attain shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Being assured of all this, return to your home. Very soon, without impediments, we will attain shelter at the lotus feet of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we're late, we're over time. What to be done? we wanted to say something about Srila Narottam Das Thakur, who has very much presented all of these realizations, thoughts, prayers, aspirations, and he has shown us how to be detached from this material life. Srila Gorkashore Das Babaji, one of the most exalted emblems of this renunciation personified, he recommended to read the two books of Narottam Das Thakur, Parthana and Prema Bhakti Chandrika. Indeed, he appreciated and worshipped these books so much that they were in his personal, very few personal possessions. Hare Krishna. Virago yena purusho bhagavan sattvato bhavet. Chaksvajiva lokasya vivida mama samsriti. Devahuti continued, my dear Lord, please also describe in detail, both for me and for people in general, the continual process of birth and death. For by hearing of such calamities, we may become detached from the activities of this material world. Shri Shri Radha Govinda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Bol. If everyone wants to go take prashadam and eat all the way up to their neck to their full satisfaction, you have my permission and blessings. Yeah. Prabhupada told the devotees in Atlanta that the austerities of Subari Muni, 60,000 years in the Satya Yuga, can be achieved by going on Sankirtan now in just a few days. And everybody, Pragosh Prabhu tells this story. It was just like, it's like, say that, hear this thing and it costs hundreds of millions of dollars. But if you call right now, in the next 10 minutes, you can get it for $1. Everybody was like, wow. So here, Lord Nityananda he's considering in his mind, Raghunath Das, I just can't do this myself. I can't, it's not happening no matter how hard I try. Then he considered right in his mind, right calculation, right? The right thought is, let me turn to Krishna. He's there waiting for you in the super soldiers, waiting. He's the witness bird waiting for you, the eating bird, to give up eating the fruits of material enjoyment and turn to him. You take one step towards Krishna, he'll take 10 steps towards you. If you want to hold something with your two hands, how can you prevent Krishna from taking it with his 10? Whereas if Krishna wants to give you with his 10 hands, how much can you take with your two? So we get to perform a Panihati festival every day, not just once a year. Do Harinam Sankirtan on the streets of the world every day for as many hours as possible, and you'll get there, back home, back to Godhead. Not that Indra Das, guarantee it, but everyone guarantees it. Lord Chaitanya, all the acharyas, including Srila Prabhupada, it's the right thing to do. Not that, we just dust it off once a year, on Gorpanim or something, and anthropologically study it. Oh, that was back in Lord Chaitanya's time. You'll not get back home, back to Godhead that way. And it's a story of Gopal Bhan not liking that his king. I forget what the king's name was. They made a yogi made a wager that he could stay submerged up to his neck in the river in freezing cold in the wintertime from sundown to the next day's sunrise. And he did it. There was many witnesses. Wasn't it, and the king said, you were cheating because you were meditating on that ghee lamp burning at the top of that temple dome about 300 to 500 yards away. So I'm not going to pay you the wager. So his court jester, Gopal Bhan. Gopal, what's the difference between you and an ass? He took out a measuring stick. About 3 feet, my lord. He thought of a way that I'm going to show the king that, not good. So one day, the palace cook was sick or he couldn't perform the duty. The king had something to do at 1 o'clock sharp. The lunch was supposed to be ready at 12 noon. So Gopal Bhan, the court jester, had to take up the duty of cooking the king's lunch. 12 o'clock comes. Gopal, is the lunch ready? Just now coming, my lord. Just now coming. Just wait a few minutes. Everything is cook. It is cooking. It is cooking. 12:15. Gopal, my lord, it is just now cooking. It's taking a little more time, but it will happen. It is now cooking. 12:30, the same thing. The king's getting very angry. And finally, 12:45, he bursts into the kitchen room and he sees a little kind of like sterno flame on the ground with a high ceiling, kind of like this, maybe not as big, tripod, 12 foot in the air, and the pot is there, and the sterno stove is like this. What type of cooking is this? My lord, it is a flame and there's the pot and we're cooking. Just like, the yogi stayed warm by meditating on the flame, so many hundreds of yards away. So in the same way I'm cooking. So the king understood that he did the wrong thing and he went and paid the yogi his wager. So we have to put the pot on the fire and then it'll happen. Don't think that this chanting and dancing won't lead to the desired success. It will. One must have firm conviction and faith. And Aintra Prabhu's humble addition to that, it will if you do it. It's not going to happen by everybody just wondering how it's going to happen. It's going to happen by everybody making it happen. And that is our sacrifice to make it happen. We might want to do this. We might want to do that. We might want to go here. We might want to go there. But we might not be able to go here or there or do this or that to stay and make it work. So by going here and there, we might be like raising the pot 12 feet in the air and making the cooking process so much slower. Whereas if we give those things up to make it happen, whatever it takes, that's how. Don't think that this chanting and dancing won't lead to desired success. It will. And Srila Prabhupada lived his life like that. He sacrificed his entire life for that. And for that, we are all here today under the shelter of Sri Sri Radha Govinda in Srila Prabhupada's temple. And Prabhupada is asking us to repay him, to accord and afford and facilitate everyone on this planet to get the same opportunity, to give them all facilities to do so. And for the people in general, the huge number of the population, the first thing that needs to be done for them is that they have to hear the holy name, so that their sinful reaction can be purified to such an extent that they will be able to make proper inquiry and be able to take devotees' association in a favorable way without offense. Rising tide in the harbor raises all boats. This Sankirtan movement awakens all varieties of devotional service. Prabhupada came, and as he described, I chanted under the tree in Tompkins Square Park, and this entire movement came out from that kirtan. The book distribution, devotee association, devotee care, Chatur Vidashri, Bhagavat Prasadam, how to eat like a human being, Prasadam, etc., 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 etc. All comes from the holy name, is sustained by the holy name, maintained, energized, and made to progress and expand by the same propagation of the Lord's personal dharma, Harinam Sankirtan. Hare Krishna. Thank you. We'll stop here. Hari Bol. Can I return?